Three. Okay. Hello and welcome, one and all, to another episode of the Starfall Collective, a Jade Odyssey. We are thrilled to have you joining us on our actual play D&D adventure using the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons rules to create something rich and compelling, we hope. I'm joined, as always, by good friends, and will be joined by more of them across the course of the evening. But for starters, if you could, when I indicate you, please name the character you're playing and anything else you want to tell us about your character, like maybe something that they're excited about or scared of or something that's on their mind. Matthew, would you like to go first?
Hi, my name is Matthew Talamini. I am a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island. You can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. I am playing the art. I was warlock mixed up, but Crocular is a warlock. The artistic warlock Crocular.
And is there anything on Crocular's mind? Anything he has a strong emotion one way or the other about, or something that he's preoccupied with at the moment?
Right now, we're on this ship, right? I think he's probably sketching things that he sees around him. The sketches do not look like the things.
Excellent. Pone, played by Jacob. And by the way, sorry, real quick, pause, timeout. Jared, would you mind hitting record on whatever local application on your machine is going to be recording? Very good. Yeah. Jacob, who are you and who are you playing?
Hey, I'm Jacob Burbridge, and I am playing Poen, the Tiefling monk. And right now, he is confused as to why there are so many people fawning around him about the double somersault that he did. Like he just doesn't understand.
Well, like it or not, you are the local Bruce Lee celebrity on the ship. So everybody wants to get you to teach them secrets of combo moves. That seems to be the buzzword going around. LT, who are you? Who are you playing? What's on their mind?
I'm LT. I'm playing as Jim Varden. He is feeling a little better after the excitement of the Stone Mantle hunt. It's kind of taken the edge off of his anxiety about not having access to the dreamscape.
Very good.
What did he like about the dreamscape?
It was a safe space. It was easy, but all this activity that's just been going on has just kind of basically distracted him from the fact of danger. Even though he may have been in danger.
And Jared, who are you? Who are you playing? And tell me what's on their mind.
Hey, my name's Jared. I'm playing Ivan, who is still kind of cooling down from his power walk.
From your leap of faith. Quite literal
Right.
Leap. Excellent. So you guys all find yourselves at the end of the evening. The captain has declared that he is giving his share of his take from when you guys sell all of the Levitor, which is like, it's not pure Levy. It's kind of like a Levy alloy or a Levy oxide or something like that, that comes in these almost kidney stone looking nodules that grow in clusters on some of the, sacs or glands or whatever of the stone mantles, as well as the flesh and as well as some of the alchemical components. These stone mantles produce a number of ichors and spikes and spines and beaks and bits that alchemists are willing to pay a pretty penny for. So, depending on how well everything goes when you sell all the contents of the ship's stocks, you will receive a certain amount of gold from your shares when you guys arrive at the Arcanium. In the meantime, it is starting to wind down a little bit. Any of you who want to, slip away and head down to your bunks, you know that you've got a hammock and a locker below it with your name on it down in the low decks. Anybody who wants to go up into the shack and keep an eye out for the rest of the night and take some time to enjoy the cool air and cool down, you're more than welcome to do that. Shenanigans, japes, any of those kinds of things, the floor is yours. But you do see that some of the halflings are dancing and clapping and singing, doing some of their little traditional songs. And it appears that, at least a handful of other crew members have learned some of their songs and are singing and dancing and clapping along as well. You see that the Bugbear and BS are arm wrestling over in the corner, and they kind of go back and forth, and people are betting on them. So there's all sorts of action happening around the ship. Do any of you have anything that you want to do or anything that you want to check out?
Well, Pona's going to keep his promise to that little and go help him peel some potatoes down in the ship.
Very good. And I forget, we gave that fellow a name, and I'm struggling to remember it off the top of your head, off of my head. It's your friend. Do you remember his name? Because if not, we're going to call him Terry.
No better name than Terry.
Wait,
Well, whatever it was.
Neri.
Neri, thank you. Neri. You are quite correct. So I was close. So Neri sees you and runs to you, throws his arms around your leg, looks up at you with admiration. He's like 2 feet tall. He's tiny. Like he's really, really little guy. 2.5. He's not quite that small. But he gives you a big hug and heads over to the potato peeling station, hands you the knife, and starts asking you questions about where you learned all of this kung fu sorcery with your fists.
Now, are you casting spells with your fists? Are you like punching so fast that you're like punching through the ether and releasing magic? How does this work?
No, not exactly. Basically, I was, well, to put it lightly, I was in this cult. In exchange for getting absolutely awesome fightery, I look like this now. And I totally regret it. I would change back if I would, but punching things is a very useful life skill,
So referring to your upbringing as a cult would indicate that you probably are not from the same order that a previous season's Mela Meliamne was from. That was the Order of the Jade Throg. They are a cult of good. They are officially recognized by the Elven Empire. There are a couple of other major monastic orders. One of them is... I'm debating whether or not I should make everybody take their headphones off for this, but I won't. The Order of the Crescent Moon and the Order of the Blood Moon. So the Order of the Crescent... Go ahead.
Are you guys hearing echoes?
Maybe faint. Jacob did just mute, and now I don't hear the echo.
Can you hear it now?
I'm listening for an echo now. I don't hear it.
I don't hear an echo.
Jacob, say something.
I'm listening for it now.
Echo.
Well, that's no fair.
Now.
You're cheating.
Yeah, no, it's... Echo!
It's on Matthews. Yeah.
Echo too.
No, it's on Jacob.
Oh,
Jacob,
It's on me? Okay.
Echo!
I still
Echo.
hear it, even though Jacob's muted.
I'm wearing headphones. Is everybody wearing headphones?
I
Yeah.
am.
I think I am.
I think. Let me check. Ah!
No,
that
I
was
just-
a
actually make sure
significant
what
delay.
mic I'm using.
Ladies and
I just-
gentlemen, please forgive us for the live technical issues. We'll return to the story shortly.
I just
Jared, you
muted
were-
and I just muted and unmuted, and it sounded like there was still echoing while I was muted. so I'm thinking it probably wasn't me.
Yeah, there's still echo while I am muted as well. And I'm muting my microphone, not...
I am unmuted now, and I don't hear anything. LT, do you want to unmute?
Okay, here
I
we go.
am. LT is unmuted, and I am talking. I hear a very, very slight one.
Josh, you need to yell a little bit. You're talking quieter than you normally do.
Oh, sorry. This is me talking at a normal voice. Sorry, Matthew. I suffer from voice modulation syndrome. Sometimes I'm quieter than I mean to.
It
Yeah, I
does
hear
seem like LT's.
Really? I had my volume kind of louder than I usually do. I wonder if it's picking up the headphones from the microphone.
Or how close are your headphones and microphone?
That would be weird.
They're both this.
Huh. Interesting. Interessante.
Are you?
Right now he's muted, and can you hear any echoes?
I can't hear any echoes. I can hear no echoes.
I also can hear no echo.
All right, try it again.
I am testing for echoes.
Echo.
Oh, weird.
Echo. Sounds good.
It is me?
I think so.
I think you might have fixed it. I haven't heard an echo in a while. Jacob, come back on.
It's certainly better. I don't notice anything.
Hey, is there an
now.
echo? Is there an echo now?
I don't think
Everybody's
so.
unmuted. There's no echo. Somebody fixed it. Good job.
So
Nice.
I turned my volume down. It was kind of loud, and I was like a little uncomfortable.
Oh,
Maybe it was just loud enough to hear it through the headphones.
Fair enough. Okay. And we're back.
Hello.
So, Pone, you mentioned that you grew up in a bit of a cult. That sounds like an excellent candidate for the Crescent of the Blood, for the Order of the Blood Moon. The Order of the Blood Moon. There's the Order of the Silver Crescent and the Order of the Blood Crescent or Blood Moon. There are different factions within. You guys argue about the full blood moon, the crescent blood moon, but the basic point is blood magic, pacts with anyone and everything that they can use to increase their power base. Really, just not Montessori approved child training processes. Just, oh boy, just human rights violations left, right, and center. But hey, you survived, which means that you are one tough cookie, and you were forged in a extreme fire of combat and competition. And so,
Sorry, Cult of the Blood what?
Cult of the Blood Moon.
Nice.
So, Cult of the Blood Moon would be your port of origin. That's probably not information that you share with just anybody, but you are getting chummy with Neri, and you've noticed that Neri has dropped a few hints that he and his extended family might not be the most virtuous and honorably employed folks, but he seems to have a good heart and he seems to be a loyal friend. So you begin to open up to him a little bit and begin to tell him tales of your training in the temples of the Blood Moon. Neri is absolutely eating this up. Do you have if you have any little anecdotes or little vignettes that you'd like to share, feel free. I can see you might have one in the hopper.
Well, firstly, just as a basic thing, I'm not actually going to say the name, the Order of the Blood Moon, just as a purely precautionary thing.
Fair enough.
Who knows? Maybe a demon. He's a nice guy, but can't take a chance, Yeah, so basically, this is me talking in character now. One time, this was really funny. One time I was fighting in this combat scenario, and I was up against this half-orc, and he was much bigger than me. So what I did is I used my horns and they were sharpened at the time. Now they're just dull little stubs, he says, tapping. And what I did was I just headbutted him, but I missed, and off one of his arms came. It was hilarious. Just the best. Anyway.
Wow. You're the coolest person I've ever met.
And he, whooshing, takes off the tip of his finger and runs over, grabs it, and goes running out of the room to find the. There's someone who's got like a level in healing on the ship, and so he goes to the ship nurse and leaves you behind peeling potatoes with the satisfaction of having told a story so cool about taking someone's arm off that you took an audience member's finger off. So congratulations on that.
Peel potatoes, I do.
Yes.
In satisfaction.
The camera kind of pans back up, and we see some other members of the party choosing their activities for the evening. Crocular, Matthew, do you have any thoughts about how Crocular would spend the evening after such a victory?
Sure. Yeah. Are we at some kind of port? Did you say?
You are on your way.
Okay, so
Captain
we haven't
Graham,
arrived yet. We're still en route. Great.
Captain Graham declared that now that you guys are full up, he's definitely going to make a beeline for the for an elven trading outpost up against the cliffs. It's called the Woadfall, and right now, Graham has made it clear that they are kind of doing a bit of a circuitous loop-de-loop all around this area because there are a number of outposts and villages and trade routes that kind of run along the cliff face. And without the dancing narwhal on constant patrol with Maroskukam, the alpha stone mantles would be more than a harassment to the locals. But once he gets full up, they need to unload their cargo. So you guys are going to be headed to the Woadfall tomorrow. You might get there tomorrow evening or the next morning.
Awesome. So I think that Crocular, you guys are going to see him begin doing something that I think he was probably not allowed to do in the asylum. Which is not that sinister, actually. He's just he's gonna find a source of like paper, and I think he has paints, not magic paints, inert, mundane paints, and I think we should tell Jared that he can put his headphones back on.
Oh,
I tried to chat that, but he doesn't seem to have seen it.
there we go. We got you back.
Hi. Sorry, we're on Crocular, and I just can't stand for you not to hear the amazing stuff he's about to do.
Guys, I imagined some really amazing stuff.
Everybody pay attention to me.
We're making a fire here.
No, Crocular is he finds some like stiff parchment or something and like folds it in half, and like he's tries to, can I find some like spare wood around anywhere? If it's a ship, there's got to be scrap lumber around somewhere.
You've already made a connection with the bosun, telling him that Trillia was a legitimate member of the crew and she needed to have her name put in. So the bosun actually, he would be amenable to you saying, hey, I helped you out with a situation that could have been embarrassing for you. You could have jar faux pas on your hands. And so he offers to get you some paper, and he directs you to some of the carpenters of the ship, and they do have stores of scrap wood, and you palm them a couple of silver pieces and manage to get everything you need in the way of arts and craft supplies.
But actually, yeah, okay. But I actually don't need much. I just need, it's just like, it's just enough wood for him to stretch some like sailcloth canvas over.
Mm-hmm.
And then his mage hand will like just hold it up in front of him.
Okay.
Right. And
excellent.
he is painting. So you see him probably on the deck of the ship, like maybe painting some of the scenes from the battle, but sort of in a cubist kind of way, in his own unique way. And that's probably what he's been busying himself with doing. He's churning out a bunch of paintings, and just when he's done with one, he'll like tack it up somewhere to dry off, and when it's dry, he'll put it in his portfolio. So he's like, if multiple days happen, you'll see him start to build up multiple different like paintings in his in a folder.
The two young men, the two 17-year-old gentlemen who came to you and were interested in your magics, I hope you could hear the K at the end of that word, were very curious about what you were doing. So they came over, and you've actually got a couple of assistants. They kind of watch your process, and they pester you, and for the most part, you're able to fend them off and wave them away and be like, the master is busy. But every now and then you toss out little nuggets of wisdom, little scraps of arcane, fluff from the beyond, and it placates them.
I make them do stuff. I do one painting where they model for me, and the modeling is that one of them has to put his fingers up the other one's nose.
Excellent.
And I'm trying to capture the subtleties of the facial expression. I don't care which one it is.
Sure.
They trade off, but
you can't even tell them apart.
When you guys look at the canvas, you don't see any relation between the brush strokes that I've put on the canvas and the scene that is in front of me. But I do need one of them to be putting their fingers up the other's nose for this work to go forward.
And they obliged. They found it infinitely entertaining and engaging that you gave them the power of pigment coming out their pores. And you can see that there are some places where they did a bunch of graffiti on the side of the ship, and then the bosun caught them, and they had to scrub the whole ship, right? So they just got done doing that. So they're being productive. They're helping you out, and you've got a nice little stockpile of weird canvases. So when you get to town, you'll have a stockpile of weird canvases. Congratulations. Ivan, are you... what are you doing now that the action is over? Uh-oh, you're muted somehow. I can't hear anything.
Ivan pretty quickly goes below deck to go to bed.
Excellent. So Ivan stashes himself in the hammock. Do you sleep with, was it Ulka? What was the name of your axe?
I should know that. Ulka, yeah.
It is Ulka. Okay. See, I do remember some names. So do you sleep with Ulka with you, or do you put her in your locker and close it up at night?
I put her in my locker.
Okay, very good. You related weapon. Excellent. So Ivan heads downstairs, and you see that there are a couple of guys down there already who got banged up really, really badly. Like when the big Alpha Stone Mantle came crashing in asleep, it actually landed on one dude. So he's got like a broken collarbone and a broken arm and some cracked ribs, and he's being tended to by one of his shipmates, being fed some sort of food and some sort of sedative to help him sleep. And there are a couple of other guys who just, they were exhausted from the fight. So you're not the only one, but things are pretty quiet down there. Everybody's respecting that this is rest and sleep time. Jim, what does Jim do after this big kerfuffle?
If there's alcohol available, I would probably have a drink, and maybe if there's some sailors sitting around telling stories, listen to some stories, and after a while, probably go to bed too.
So Excuse me. So Jim is actually invited over to Captain Graham's little cabal. He and his bosun and BS and a couple of others who were admirable during the fight are all sharing some of his best brandy, some sort of distilled dark brown, slightly sweet spirit. And you see that there are a couple of sailors who have a number of puppets, and they've put up a little curtain, and they're sticking up the equivalent of simple little stick puppets. And they are telling tales of Sorguk and McGee. And you see that Sorguk is this, big, round, muscly puppet whose skin is dark and has like red tattoos all over his body. And McGee, who always has, an eyebrow up, and he's always got either a finger up or a finger over his mouth, or, he's doing some sort of funny little gesture that shows cleverness and trickery. And you hear the tales of McGee Leray, Trueface Toupee, and Tippin Tapiosa, and his 5 Sicarios, Scribiddly Bundle, Crab Dealer Forthnigh, a very martial type who's constantly throwing little daggers, and he's always has women following after him with little, floppy yarn hair. Ari Creek McCall Kacken, Debiddly Snickfracken. He's sort of a Scarlet Pimpernel type. You see that he's the tactical mastermind who's always coming up with clever ploys. Cowlitz Cupertino, Blythe Snarfully, Colin Pino. He's a sort of a knight who seems to be running around with this giant cannon that's always boom, and they've actually given him a real flintlock, and they've loaded powder in. So every now and then, like the edge of the set will catch fire, and somebody will have to toss water on it. Skibbly Flib Snit Tribledad, Cackling Lips Northington. He's this flaming red-haired puppet with big curly chops, and you see that he's got blistered lips and cheeks, and he's very energetic and sassy, and says things like,
"They don't call us fire giant kissers for nothing."
And he's got a little flamethrower. And you see that he's riding this huge mechanical looking beetle. Well, it's only the size of a softball, but compared to the puppet. And Garney Scala Trollop Fibbler, Flib Flossin Creek Snicker, who's constantly throwing these alchemical bombs and followed around by a turtle Warforged champion. And the 3 warlords of Sorguk, Slurp, Gulb, and Barduk, who are not, they show up every now and then, but the main point of the story is that they're focusing on McGee Leray and his 5 Sicarios. And so they tell tales about how they pull off these feats of insane bravery that cause the collapse of the war between the elves and the orcs. And at one point, you see all these little black dragons puppets are being lowered by somebody up in the rigging, and you see this big block, and you realize, and it has little orcs sticking out of it. And so they portray the final battle of the orcs' flying fortress of Levy being pulled by these black dragons. And you see all of these Quetzalcoatlus coming in another little group on a bunch of strings tied to a stick. And these Quetzalcoatlus come crashing into all the dragons, and you see that there's this big battle. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've got more of the story here, but that's probably all of it they're able to tell. Yeah. So you're able to enjoy this lovely little puppet parade, puppet show, and
Story
enjoy
of the Gnome
some.
Wars.
Yeah, it's in being regaled with tales of the Gnome Wars, and you eat the captain's meat, and you eat the captain's bread, and you drink the captain's brandy, and you head to bed with a full belly, and you have vivid dreams of riding on these were-Quetzalcoatlus all of you awaken to a lovely, calm, quiet, crisp morning. There's a slightly extra cool breeze dragging across the surface of the ship. There's still some more work to be done, and all of you pull your weight and help out with the final bits of preparation. You are, parceling up some of the alchemical components. You are helping to prepare some of the levy, kind of washing it, getting the last of the ichor off of it. Pone, you have a full day of helping out with Neri, because Neri has a lot of extra responsibilities cleaning up after the revelries, so that keeps you busy. But all of you otherwise have a rather uneventful day, unless there's something that you particularly try to accomplish. You do have a little bit of downtime. Is there anything that anybody wants to accomplish in that downtime before you guys get to the Woadfall trading post?
Downtime is forfeit to helping my rat friend, so
It's true. You're an indentured servant.
Yeah, I think
So-
I already described what Gracular's up to. He'll
So you
continue
keep
doing
this
that.
up. You're doing production art. You're churning them out, baby.
So I
Yeah,
think Jim
and
has
they're
kind of figured out. Oh, sorry.
great.
Go ahead.
No,
They're
go on.
great. Hey, actually, give me 3 performance checks, please.
Okay.
Nice.
I thought this might happen. Can I have help from my helpers?
You know what? You have helpers, so I will say yes, and have advantage on those performance checks.
Amazing. So the first one is a 16. Second one is a 24.
Woohoo!
Third one is an 11.
Excellent. Yeah, so about a third of your paintings, you realize, you look at them and you go, even you, every crow thinks hers is the blackest, but even you, the artist, realize that a third of these are, you probably wouldn't be able to sell them. You might be able to give them away, but you wouldn't be able to sell them. Thirds of these are really good. So you've got like 14 paintings that are able to be sold at market. So once you get to market, you'll be able to do some investigation or some mercantile checks to try to figure out how much you can sell those for. Ivan, anything else, Matthew? Sorry, Crocular.
I am probably not going to sell them.
Oh, you're keeping these. I'm sorry. I was thinking that you were doing this in preparation of...
Well, I might not keep them either, but I do have something to do with them.
Very good. Okay, excellent. Ivan, is there anything that you try to accomplish today during your downtime? Oh, Jared's got his headphones off again. Let's see. I don't know if we can get his attention. There we go. Ivan, is there anything that your character tries to accomplish during this next day of travel as you guys are getting closer to the Woadfall trading post?
Not really.
Okay. You have responsibilities and duties. You're asked to do things. So your day stays pretty full, just being available and helpful. And anytime you want to go up into the shack and just take it easy, take a break and look around, people clear out for you. You obviously have very senior dibs on shack time. So you can be up there anytime you want. And Jim, anything that you're trying to get done before you guys get there?
Yeah, he's kind of figured out that the scars on his hand, the little shattered glass pattern, are helping him with the magic casting. So he's kind of playing with that and trying to figure out how to control it.
Okay. Make me a Arcana check as you are basically studying your own magical nature. You're trying to study your body, trying to study the wild magic that's coming through you, and make some sort of intuitive sense of it.
14.
14. Yeah, so you know that this should have healed more than it has. I mean, it still has this, it's kind of almost an illusion. It's a little bit like a hologram. Like if you run your hand over your skin, you don't feel more than a hairline scar. But when you look at it, you could swear it almost looks like it's a few millimeters deep of just a gouge or a rut. Or that plane between glass. You can see the thickness of the glass down into your flesh, and it's not going away. Really at all. It seems to still be there just as much as the moment it happened.
And they glow when he casts a spell.
It does. You see that magic is coming out of it. So you would say that it seems like the magic is within your very body. So you have these wild surges and it's coming out of you. And it seems like these scars are kind of letting you see down into your magic body, is the idea that you have with the 14.
Okay.
So, as you guys try, anything else? Anybody? Last calls? Don't want to railroad you.
No.
Don't want to hear. That Josh guy. He never lets us do our own cool ideas. So as you guys get closer to the Woadfall, you start noticing more and more. You're flying lower and lower, and you start noticing more merchant trains. You see more hunting, trapping paths and cabins out in the edges of the woods, because you see that there seems to be, maybe a mile or two at places, sometimes more, of just regular normal sized forest before you get to the great trees. And as you've been flying over the great tree areas, you've seen more of these possums that are just absolutely enormous. The one that you saw, you realize was a baby. There's another one that you saw that was like nose to butt, like maybe 80 feet long. And you could swear you saw it either had some sort of oversized lice or like wood elves wearing furs and stuff like that who were hanging off the side of this thing. So you get the impression that there are people that live in these colossal trees alongside the colossal animals, which you find slightly unbelievable and incredibly dangerous. But you see elk the size of elephants. You see snakes the size of multiple buses end to end to end. There are a number of creatures that apparently have not large, huge, or even into like gargantuan size. I mean, these are monstrously, unimaginably big animals. And then there's also just a lot of really, really big critters. So as you get closer and closer to the Woadfall, you see more trade and traffic, trade lanes merging together. And then you see it in the distance. This massive cliff face goes up hundreds and hundreds of feet, and going up and down at an angle, you see something like an ovular gondola track, and you see that hanging from these tracks are these massive barges. They're like 40 feet by 20 feet. And these barges, some of them are going up and some of them are coming down. And you see that they're on this loop and they're moving slowly. And the whole thing is covered over by an immense dome of spider web. And you see that there's a huge sphere with about maybe 100-foot diameter down at the base of the track. And you can see these really, really big spiders kind of scuttling in and out of this dome, climbing up and over this spider web dome. And so at any given moment, you can see a few dozen of these, maybe 10-foot head to tip of the abdomen with long legs sticking out much further. You can see these large spiders scuttling all over, maintaining this web in what appears to be some sort of colony. You don't quite know. And there's a river. There's a waterfall off to the left where you can see a huge gout of water coming down. And there's a kind of a barge area where these platforms that are going up and down are being loaded or unloaded, and you see warehouses scattered out there. You see a little town square with a number of buildings, and a little bit outside of town, you see a place where things like airships and merchant wagons dock. So you guys come in and make land, and the captain informs all of you, lads, I'm proud to have sailed the skies with you. We've accomplished great things. And we're gonna be rich! And everybody kind of, ah! He says, give me a few days to liquidate the inventory. Make sure that you are all here in 72 hours. In 3 days, we will make for the skies again. Any man who is no longer on the ship, I will assume that he no longer wishes to fly with us. And he kind of cuts you guys loose into the town. As you make your way down the gangplank, you see that there is a platform in the middle of the kind of town square area. And you can see that there are performers up on the stage, and you see a number of shops all around you. There are all sorts of trade houses, alchemy shops, places to buy and sell armor and weapons and animals and monsters. You tell me what you're looking for, and we'll see if it's around. There's also notably a large kind of notice board where it's a good 30 feet long and 6 feet tall, and it's just covered in fresh gold leaf, crimson red and faded, tattered little edges of clearly 6-month-old notices. It talks about missing people, please find them. It's job opportunities to do merchant guards. It's bounties on thieves. It's standing orders, willing to pay top rates for Tarok eggs. There, you see that there are. You can actually see from here, off in the distance, up a couple of 100 feet up in the air, up against the cliff. There are things that look a little bit like pterodactyls, but they have really jagged, janky mouths of teeth. And apparently you can try to get up there and steal their eggs and sell them to somebody. It's up to you. There are a number of things to do here.
How far are we from the Arcanium?
You know that you are still... you've asked Graham this question, and he tells you it'll probably take you another 2 weeks or so. He says that it would have taken you guys about a month, but with what a great haul you guys got, with all of these stone mantles attacking you at once. He says, it happens sometimes, but it's fairly rare. So they've got, enough money to make it worth their while to kind of cut the trip in half and cover about half as much ground on the way to the Arcanium.
The reason I ask is, is this if something here was in the newspapers, I don't know if there are newspapers. Does cultural news from here ever make it to the Arcanium? Are we in the back of beyond?
You're not in. Okay, so this is a significant point of trade. There are a lot of natural resources that come out of the colossal forests to the south. some of the first quote unquote billionaires in America were beaver traders. Such was the natural wealth of beaver pelts and meat. So
Right.
it's a similar situation. The Elven Empire is in a bit of a decline. So this is actually a place of where a lot of money's changing hands. People with real resources, are wanting to buy and sell and trade what's coming out of here. But it's the people who are really hustling, who are out here doing the work. So down here at the base of the Woadfall, no, it's not, the up and coming hotspot. But if something were to happen here, the rest of the empire would know about it eventually. Yeah, word does get out.
Okay, so the others are going to have to convince Crocular to do anything besides this plan. What Crocular wants to do is hold an exhibition.
Excellent. Okay.
He wants to put up flyers on. He wants to put up his own flyer on this board. He wants to find space where artwork is exhibited, and he's going to put some of his up.
Are we waiting a couple of days for the money to come?
Yeah,
in
it's
from
3
the
days.
hall?
We got 72 hours.
Yeah. A pudgy, swarthy, somewhat parsimonious man walks up to you, Crocular, and says,
That'll be 1 gold to place a parchment upon the board. 2 gold for something larger than your hand.
Before that, I'm going to...
you'd said that you were at the board and you were trying to put up stuff.
But before, the first thing you have to do is get a venue.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask around about... I'm going to look around for local art venues. Are there galleries that might be willing to do a showing on short notice? I'm probably looking at the poorest, lowest quality places.
Sure.
I might be down to like national parks by the end.
Sure.
Church basements.
Roll me an investigation check.
All right. Oh, that's bad. Okay.
Is anybody joining Crocular on this artistic endeavor? Ivan, Pone, Jim?
Oh, no, it should. I guess it has to be investigation.
Hang on just 1 sec. Ivan, what was that?
While Crocular probably is one of the first off deck, Ivan goes up to Jim somewhat awkwardly and says, Jim.
What's up?
I'm not much of a city guy. And I always lived alone. But I know Brick said we're a team now.
Yeah.
Should I go with you guys?
I don't know. It's not a huge town, but there are a lot of people. Is it a big town?
Looking out from the and Matt Crocular, we're going to get back to you in just 1 sec, so hold that thought. Looking out from the Dancing Narwhal as you guys came into town, you saw that there are at least a couple of thousand people here at any given moment. It looks like
order of magnitude off of that. So.
Looks like there are a number of there are hundreds of people who are just local workers who are operating the track with the large barge platforms that go up and down. It looks like there are hundreds of people who are just merchants who are doing trading. There are hundreds of people who appear to be kind of scuttling around in the warehouse district. And it looks like there are hundreds more who are kind of gathered out in tents around the outside of the area, people who are kind of nomadically here for maybe weeks at a time. So it looks like, maybe 1,000, over 1,000, maybe 1,200 or so total. So.
All right. So that's pretty big. Let's see. Well, I'm thinking that I'd like to wait until we get the money for the trip at least. But I am pretty eager to get to the Arcanium and take care of business.
Yeah.
I think it would be fine if you waited on the boat, but maybe you would see something that you are interested in here. It's probably worth just stretching your legs and your soul a little bit.
I've seen more that I want to see.
Already.
I'll be up in the shack if you need me.
Okay.
So Ivan scurries up, climbs up the rope ladder, and deposits himself up in the top of the shack. You see that a number of your shipmates give you kind of a weird look. One of them tries to say, "Ivan, you don't have to do that. We're in port." Does Ivan even respond to him, or does he just kind of give him a gruff huff and keep climbing?
If it's in mid climb, he probably just keeps climbing.
Excellent. So we cut back to Crocular. We see Crocular sticking his head into various different shops and kind of raising a finger and asking weird questions. What was the result? And by the way, everybody, what is Aaron Joy's character's name?
Veda.
Veda?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Veda actually goes with you, Crocular. She's seen you making all these paintings, and she sees that you are eager to like get off the ship and start, just get out there and really do your art. And Veda looks around at everybody else and sees that no one else is elected to babysit you. And so she kind of gloms on. She doesn't say anything like that. She doesn't insult you, but she lets you know, hey, I would love to be part of this. I don't have anything to do yet, and I like your energy. So would you mind if I come along and assist you with your artistic endeavors?
Not at all. Not at all.
Then you have the help action on your investigation, because Veda tries to cover some of your foibles and a bit of actual non-insane humanity to this effort to find a venue. So what's
Jim would ask
investigation with
Veda
help?
to help him make sure he wraps this up in the next 3 days. You influence the events so that the show happens quickly.
Excellent. So with help, what's your investigation check?
It does not rise above a 10.
Excellent. Very good. So Phil's Pickle Shack is thrilled to offer you some surface area. You see that Phil's Pickle Shack is otherwise a rather decrepit and rundown looking place. You see that he has large glass jars of eyeballs and feet and hands and noses. You kind of Veda throws up in the corner a little bit because she sees a human nose in there next to all the pig noses. And Phil, excuse me, is well, you're not quite sure what Phil is because he's wearing a mask and his voice sounds really, really not human. But Phil seems to be open to your work and is actually a little bit amused by it, and offers to, he says, I think I'd like to be your first patron, if you don't mind. What you charging for these bad boys, or are you just showing them off?
I guess I will have looked around the local art market, if there is one, and gotten a sense of what paintings go for around here, and I will price them at like 3/4 of average.
Oh boy, 3/4. Yeah, so there's a high elven, a young man. You would imagine that this is the equivalent of somebody who is taking off a year between boarding school and Ivy League, and he's making these very highfalutin, very classical, high elven art pieces on canvas.
Love it.
And he's selling those for like 5 gold a piece, 5 to
Okay.
50. Some of his smaller ones are 5. So he's got a couple of real big canvases that are like 50 gold for the big one. But he's not an established name. So he's really just hoping that people will do this on the whole, like, you know, you're in downtown Charleston, you want to buy from a local artist, right?
Sure.
So it's up to you.
I set my stuff up at Phil's Pickle Shack.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
Feels. You realize that it's Feels Pickle Shack. Sorry.
Feels Pickle Shack.
Yeah.
I got set up. I put a 2 gold price on each of these, so significantly undercutting this highfalutin fancy boy.
Yeah.
And the next, I mean, if I can do that in one day, the next order of business is to try and scare up local press, because the point is not the money, the point is the reputation.
Excellent. So Veda disappears and finds a halfling with a hand drum and a bunch of hoops and a couple of batons with streamers on it. And she pays this young man some money to run around encouraging everyone to come see Crocular's wondrous gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And Veda actually also tries to help out by purchasing a piece of banner like cloth and a little bit of paint. And so she's helping you with some advertising and some signage. So you've actually got a fighting chance of collecting a little bit of foot traffic to yourself.
And how about this? I'd like to generate what is called a buzz.
Excellent.
And so
are we talking full Muppet movie whisper campaign?
I would like to listen in at. Tell me when I'm out of time.
Sure.
Because I'd like to listen in at local watering holes and drinking establishments to get some political gossip. I want some hot goss. I just need the names. I just need the names of like somebody that people gossip about who's in power.
Yeah. So
mayor.
You know that Lord Nithril, who is one of the major landowners of the lands just at the top of the cliffs, you know that he is in serious danger of losing his logging rights to the land, because there is an actual druidic enclave that is beginning to try to lay claim to more and more. And you know that the druids are beginning to encroach on the southern part of the Elven Empire and are displacing some of the lords and nobles.
So I bust into some of these conversations and I make the claim that a strange new painter in town has put coded druidic messages into his paintings that will expose the truth about Lord Nithril's dirty land deals. If only you can understand them, and that the paintings can only be seen for the next 2 days at Feels Pickle Shack.
For the next,
I want this to be a deception check.
You've managed to get all this stuff set up because you guys rolled in the morning. Like you flew through the night and you made it there in the morning. So in the space of breakfast to sometime a couple of hours after lunch, you've managed to find Feels Pickle Shack, get the 2 young men ran around out in the woods and started cutting down a bunch of saplings and got some twine. So you've got a whole bunch of little A-frame, little tripods. So all of your paintings are either on tripods or they're directly covering. This was the main appeal for Feel, because he figured it would be better to have art on his pickle shack than the pickle shack itself. And Veda,
Probably.
you and Veda are now running around this evening. Now that everybody's beginning to knock off work and grab a glass of wine, and you're kind of popping in and out. There are a couple of major inns, and there's really only a couple of them where the big spenders are kind of congregating. And so make me a deception check to try to get this kind of nucleus of the idea out there. And do you want Veda to help you with this, or do you want Veda to do something different?
I think this type of thing might not be Veda's strong suit, but it is mine. And yeah, I think she can go make sure the pickle shack looks good. I get a 22 on that.
Excellent. You mentioned this. You watch the room for a few minutes, and you kind of you do your kind of social engineering homework, and you pick out a couple of guys who obviously other people in the room are deferring to. These are people who are obviously of means and taste, and you mention this to these guys. One of them actually kind of sees through, and he gets a really high counter check on you, but doesn't see all the way through it. And he asks you if you are the artist. Do you answer? Do you take the bait, or are you trying to spread this idea anonymously?
In the bar here, I'm not the artist.
Okay.
I'm a mysterious figure with secret knowledge. Or the artist Crocular is a mysterious figure with secret knowledge. I'm just some guy who discovered this.
Excellent.
An amazing one crazy fact that you didn't know.
And with the 22, I'll say that there is a particular minor lord, still a lord, but he's out there overseeing some of his own shipments, and he says, "Oh, I myself studied a good bit of druidic teachings and symbology when I was a young man. I had a druidic teacher and tutor myself. I'll have to go by and check that out. That sounds very interesting." And you see that there's a bit of a buzz in the room when he declares that he'll be stopping by. You pop over to the other inn across the way, kind of the rival place. That was all where the really rich lords and where the really rich merchants and the minor lords are. This is where the wealthy merchants and the warehouse owners and a little bit more of the locals are. Make me a deception check over here to see if you can get these guys. Or if you'd like, you can make a performance check to try to continue this thread that you've started over there.
Deception check.
Okay. So you're maybe kind of taking a fresh tack. All right. Make me this deception check.
It's only a 10.
Only a 10. Yeah. So you don't hurt your cause, but you don't really advance it. As you head out into the streets, you try to capitalize on what was in there, and you try to mention to a couple of other people, "Oh yeah, Lord Wellington actually is thinking about coming by," and blah blah blah. What is something besides deception that you might possibly use to try to keep this going?
I'm really good at intimidation, but I'm not sure that it's the type of thing. No, you know what? I'll go to another place. And this time, instead of saying there's these paintings that have this secret druidic messages about local politics, right? I'm going to say, nobody better go see those darn paintings.
They're not for the likes of you.
But I would like it so that the more intimidating I am, the more they feel the more they feel that they have to do their duty as good citizens to see what this cover up is.
You know what? I'm going to say that with that 10 on deception, with that second in, you kind of take a step back and you didn't fail. So you didn't screw things up, but you try a different tack and you try intimidating these guys. You try a little reverse psychology. Make me your intimidation check.
Well, that's a good one. 19 plus 6 is 25.
Holy cow. With a 25, you not only intimidate them, you intimidate them perfectly effectively. So you don't pull out a dagger and hold it against a guy's throat and make everybody, piss themselves in terror. You perfectly pique their oppositional defiance. These guys are wealthy to do, lords of their domain, business owners. They do not like being told what to do. So the next day, that there is a throng of merchants beginning to compete and kind of elbow each other out of the way, making declarations about how they're going to be purchasing these and how interesting and how charming it is that these great works of art are hidden at the edge of town at Feel's Pickle Shack. And Feel is just delighted. He's looks like a pig in mud. So tell me, as folks begin to walk up to you and say, "You
I'm
see
not,
that?"
Go on. I'm
are
not
you
at
there?
Feel's Pickle Shack. I don't want them recognizing my face.
Oh,
The
you know what?
mysterious
Veda
artist
is
is not present at Feel's Pickle Shack.
So Veda has actually cleaned herself up a little bit and has purchased a dress, which is wild. I don't think any of you guys have seen Veda in a dress. And she is out there with ribbons in her hair and is charming the pants off of everybody. I'm going to make a couple of charisma rolls for Veda to see how effectively she sells your stuff. And it looks like, this isn't really her scene. This isn't really what she's great at per se, but she does hit it off with a couple of them. And so you had 14 works of art. And you said that you were going to try to charge about 3/4 of what the other guy was charging. So these are going.
I think I said 2 gold.
Yeah, the range of what his stuff was anywhere from 5 to 50. So we'll say like 2 to 20. So you're averaging about 10 gold a piece. So you've got 40, and there's a couple. You've got 200 gold, 250 actually, because she made. Yeah, you've got about 250 gold in your pocket from selling all of these canvases. And at the end of it, Veda has been pressed hard by a couple of people for a private commission. And they're saying that they're even willing to pay in advance or half in advance or whatever. So at the end of the day, or whenever you come and check in, Veda tells you, it was amazing. I completely sold out of all of them. I tried to get more, and I'm sorry, I think I kind of screwed it up with some of your patrons, but I had a really, really rich, fat-looking guy tell me that he would pay 500 gold for a commission.
But I think that this has taken all the time, right? I mean...
That took all of day 2. That's what day 2 got taken up.
If I have time on day 3, I have to get back to the ship on the morning of day 3, right?
You guys, he said 72 hours, so you're probably going to be taking off the morning of day 4. So you've got 3 full days.
So I've got day 3. Yeah, I will not meet with anybody, but I'll use my intermediary to set up this special piece.
Okay.
And I'll spend so I should put 250 gold into my inventory.
You have 250 gold in your inventory.
I give Phil 5 gold out of that
for
the use of his venue. And I give
Phil begins arguing with you and says, I think it's only fair that the house should take 20% or so. You wouldn't have been able to sell these things He didn't have a place like mine. So he begins haggling back and forth with you,
I'll give
beginning
him
to threaten
12,
to make a
which is
scene.
5%.
Make me a. This is going to be some kind of diplomacy or something.
Intimidation.
If you'd like to intimidate him, you may do so. That is how you may respond. He is also.
You know what? Oh, I guess I did meet Phil. So I'm in the back room at Phil's talking to him.
At the end of the day,
if once I try to give Phil 5 gold, because I think I don't know. I feel like he would have gotten a small percentage of each sale already.
By people being there and purchasing pickles from the shack?
No, like, it's the actual painting costs 2 gold and 3 copper, and Phil gets the 3 copper. Or the actual paint, it costs, 20 gold and 5 silver.
Well, no such agreement was made, and Phil is just trying to make demands at this point.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to be generous and give him a little extra beyond whatever we agreed to in the 5 gold. And he's asking for more, so he's going to get an intimidation check. It's going to be like, I'm being generous and offering you extra beyond what we agreed on, and you're asking for more beyond that?
Yeah, you see Phil's got his hand out and he says, "Hey, listen, you wouldn't be anything without my amazing shack here for a gallery.
But
I'm a gentleman, I'm a businessman, roots in the community."
The intimidation check is only a 10.
Phil rolled a 20 for his resolve. So Phil, you see that Phil apparently is about to be a problem for you and is demanding 20% of your take.
You realize Phil has no idea what your actual take is.
I give him 5 gold and peace out.
Okay, so you give him 5 gold, and Veda comes waltzing in, and you see that she, Veda gives him another 5 gold and says, all right. Crocular may have only given you 10%, but here, with this other 5 gold, we'll get you up to the 20 that you deserve. And she kind of pats him on the shoulder, and you see him kind of freeze there and look at her for a second. And then he kind of holds up these 2 little bags of gold and goes, I'm rich. I'd have to sell pickles for a month to make this. And you see him go running in the direction of the kind of seedier part of the Woadfall trade post. And he is out of your hair.
Okay. I'm actually not going to do that commission for the rich guy. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do on day 3. The local gossip rag.
Now, hang on. Time out. I just realized what happens on day 3 with everybody else might coincide with and affect what happens with you.
Okay.
So let me check with everybody else, and we'll check in with you at day 3. Pone.
Perfect.
You have been cut loose with the captain goes ahead and gives you kind of a preemptive bag of 50 gold. He gives you a preemptive bag of 50 gold because this is like walking around money. This is enough to pay for any inn in the town that you want to stay in, plus food, plus drinks, plus you could buy yourself something nice, but you know that the big payout is coming at the end of day 2. But right now you got a bag of 50 gold plus whatever else is in your inventory, and the world is your oyster. What do you want to do?
I thank him first. Then I'm going to go over to... Are there any music shops?
There is. Yeah, there is a shop with a Aarakocra bard out in front of it. It appears to be some sort of like peacock or lyrebird looking Aarakocra, and he seems to have whatever Kinku have, that sort of ability to create really almost any sound. And there's
Mimicry.
always a small crowd of folks around him tossing coppers and silvers into a little wooden bowl as he performs. And behind him is a music shop. And you can see that there are a couple of humans and what looks to be maybe a halfling of some kind in there, tending to building and selling lutes and lyres and harps. There isn't a huge selection, but it looks like there are a few dozen instruments in there.
All right. Well, Pone's gonna look about a bit nervously and ask if he could have one of the lutes on sale.
A lute, young master. Are you skilled with the lute already, or will you be needing instruction on the handling of such a fine instrument? And he hands you a lute with a little bit of gold gilding around the edges and a little bit of mother of pearl inlay. It looks to be quite pretty. It's not some, elven, high elven conservatory piece made out of all mahogany and mithril, but it is a very pretty piece. Puts it in your hands. Did we just get buzzed by a UFO?
Poen sort of frowns a little bit with his eyes and says, I doubt I'd be able to afford this. Something a bit more modest, maybe?
Modest. Would you be willing to go down in size, or would you be wanting something more modest in this full size?
Modest in this full size would be appropriate, yes.
He pulls out a lyre that a lute, you said? A lute that looks to be of fine craftsmanship and quality, but it's just a little bit older. It looks like it's been worn on, looks like it's been played a lot. You can see where the repetitive motion has actually worn another hole into the soundboard of the face next to the sound hole. So you realize this was probably the property of a performing bard who is just wailing away on this thing night after night in a tavern. But it looks to still have a good solid neck. There's no cracks. And he offers this one to you for 25 gold.
Poen smiles and says, yes, this'll do greatly. Thank you.
Excellent, young master. That'll be 25 gold, please.
Of course, and I'll give him the 25 gold pieces.
So you pocket it, and as you're walking out, you look on the side of the neck as you're kind of holding it and looking down, and you see that where the body meets the neck, down at the base of the neck, with a very, very fine, like engraver's blade or something, someone has carved the name Rosalia into the neck. And so you imagine this must have been the amour of whoever was the previous owner, or maybe it's the name of the instrument. You don't know. Excellent. Do you go out and get into trouble with your new lute, or do you climb up in a tree and pluck away?
Poen is going to just subtly remark, Rosalina, that's interesting. And then he's going to take the lute and probably stow it back in the ship among his belongings. Then he's going to go. Then he's going to go to probably the notice board and see if there are any just quick he could do for some extra coin.
Ivan, make me Jared has his headphones off. Very good. Okay. So you head over to the notice board and you see that there are Ivan, if you would, make me a perception check with advantage to see if you notice Poen as he's coming and going from the ship.
Okay, 21.
Woohoo! So you see Pone with a beautiful lute. He appears to have gotten himself a musical instrument, and you see him plucking away on it, and he disappears down below decks with the ship and stashes it. And you watch him pop out, go down the gangplank, and work his way around. And you can still see from your vantage point Pone down there with his finger up on the board, kind of looking along the notice board at the various different postings. So if at any point that catches your eye, you're more than welcome to engage. Pone, you, as you're looking at the notice board, see that there are a number of requests for labor. You can go put in loading and unloading cargo onto these big barges. So there's always a number of standing jobs that you can take. There are also requests for bounties, that there might be people in the unsavory parts of this trade post who need to be brought to justice. You see that there is a message about a personal vendetta, willing to pay good money for quick results. And you're reading between the lines, you get a feel like that might be somebody asking you to somebody else. A line of work that is you're not a stranger to as a member of your order. And there are opportunities to go climb the cliffs to the east and try to steal dire Terok eggs. And you see that those things are going for like 25 gold a pop. So if you want to risk your neck and all of your bones and the possibility of turning into jelly, that is an option for you.
I think Pone is going to.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I almost forgot. And there's a fight club. There's a place where you can join a bare knuckle fighting event that's happening at sunset every day this week. I really, that was something. And I was like, oh no, that was one of the cooler things. And that's anyway. So those are all options.
Well, I think he's going to sort of be indecisive between whether he wants to kill someone or risk his life in a dangerous environment. They club and decides, why not both? And he's going to head to there.
Excellent. So you head over to a large but kind of mid-tier establishment of food and drink that actually has an entire face of the building open, and it opens out into a depressed bowl area, and it looks like there are kind of slightly stadium tiered seats, so it looks like you could probably fit a couple of hundred people on those seats, and in the middle is about a 20-foot radius sand pit. So right now there's nobody in the seats and there's nobody fighting. Excuse me. But you see a swarthy looking gentleman with no shirt and a leather vest and a dagger and a strop of leather and some oil, who seems to be kind of sharpening and oiling this. He's got black, greasy, lanky hair, what looks to be maybe black eyeshadow or something, and leather cuffs with some kind of metal studs on it, and some sort of like dragon scale pants and some red boots. So an interesting figure. He sees you walking over and he immediately flips the dagger up in the air a few times, catches it without looking, and sticks it into a sheath that he then kind of turns, and the knife disappears on his body. And he says, "So, you here for the fights? Here to place an early bet? Or are you here to contend?"
Entertaining.
Excellent. And he pulls the knife back out and he kind of licks the blade and then sticks it back in. You're like, okay.
That seems
Weird.
unsanitary, but all right.
He kind of gets flustered for a moment, and he's you can tell he's trying really hard to be as cool as you can tell he thinks you are. And he says, "So, what's your purse?" And he says, "What's your purse?" You look a little confused by that. And he says, "Oh, sorry. How tough of a guy are you looking to fight? How much money are you looking to make off of a fight? The more, the higher the purse of the fight, the harder the guy you're gonna fight, but you'll be fighting for more money. So you tell me how much pain you want to bite off, my man."
Well, mid tier, let's say.
Mid tier. Okay, you want to go for those 50, 100 gold fights, huh?
That's a bit low, actually. Could we go like 200, somewhere around there?
You see his eyes go up and he's like, "Oh, you can handle, bro. 200 gold. I got a big boy who's looking for some face to pound into the sand tonight. You think you're ready to step up and take on Snarlrack?"
Maybe. I'll have to meet the guy first.
Well, unfortunately, we try to keep our fighters apart from each other before the event, so it's safety and everything. No funny business. Nobody talking to each other and negotiating, taking a dive. There are truth watchers, and if any of them believe that there's foul play, everybody in the pit gets their throat slit. You understand?
Clearly.
You give him a wry, clearly, and he's like, "All right, 200 gold tonight, Snarlack. Snarlack. And word to the wise, if you fight with some flourish and you finish him with some panache, you're sure to get some bonus from the crowd. They love a good show. If you fight really well, sometimes the bonus can be multiple times the purse. So bring your A game."
Can do.
You fight bear or do you fight single weapon?
Do these count? And he just holds up his. Do these count as like bare-fisted single weapon? And he just holds up his fists with the little gloves on him.
He sees. Do you have the jade knuckles on under the gloves?
Yeah, they're kind of like somewhat prominently displayed.
Okay. He says, "All right, I like it. Yeah. You can fight in the enhanced division. The purse will double. I mean, can you handle that? 400? Snarlack's going to be delighted." "All right, be here an hour before sunset." And he gives you a ticket that he signs, and you see he takes out a little silver device with a handle, and he sticks the paper into there and he squeezes it, and you see that there's this very delicate, very intricate embossed paper press into this ticket. So he's given you something hard to counterfeit that indicates that you will be fighting tonight. Excellent. Jim, what do you get up to this first day?
I think Jim might look for a gun.
Look for a gun. Oh boy.
So I'm thinking the sort of knife and dagger kind of fighting isn't for him. But he's not really comfortable with using magic directly, but maybe some kind of like magic missile wand or something that will have some kind of offensive spell in it.
So you start asking around. I'm not going to make you make an investigation check, because just asking around and being willing to pay somebody a gold will get you to Jazima's Bazaar. You know that, you make your way to a magic shop and you explain what you want to the guy there. And the guy kind of rolls his eyes and says, "I don't have anything like that, but I do have this." And he kind of looks around and he kind of gives you the come here, and he steps to the back of the shop and he pulls aside a curtain. And you see it's a different place. The light is different. The smells are different. The volume is different. This is clearly not a doorway out the back of the shop. This is clearly somewhere else.
A doorway
And he
to somewhere
says,
else. Okay.
for 10 gold, you may enter Jazima's Bazaar from here. That's a good deal. A lot of shops charge you a lot more. But, and he kind of looks you up and down and says, I think that's about as much as I'm going to get out of you.
I guess I need to know what my money situation is at this point.
Yeah, you have not yet gotten
Right.
all of your money from the payout, but he says you're more than welcome to go through, and then you get the sense that he'll probably charge you again. Like if you go in there and you find something you like and you leave and you come back, he'll double charge you. So if you want to wait, you can come back later. But he says, in Jazima's Bazaar, they sell these things you seek.
Okay. Then I will come back when I can afford it.
Excellent. Very good. So, Jim, you've done a little bit of reconnaissance and you've discovered an entrance to Jazima's Bazaar. And as you kind of look around, you can see already from the very get-go, you can only see 2 or 3 shops because what you're looking at is a kind of think maybe like a Middle Eastern bazaar with a walkway that's about maybe 10, 20 feet wide and shops on either side. But those shops are outside of buildings. So they're vendors kind of just pell-mell everywhere. And actually make me a history check, if you would.
I'm going to go with 22.
22. Yeah. So not only are you familiar with Jazima's Bazaar, you know that this is one of the kind of famous, it can be hard to find. There are people who spend years trying to find a way into Jazima's Bazaar, and, great merchants and magicians salivate at the opportunity to bring their wares there and bring money, because it is a place where fortunes rise and fall extremely. You can get cleared out, or you could come away as rich as a small, lord. But there are places there there are merchants there that seem to not even be from this world. It appears to be a bit of a kind of a tangential nexus with other realms. It's not like the stacks, because the stacks, as far as you know, really only extend through this world. Jazima's Bazaar seems to be a bit of a multiverse, not multiverse, but like interplanar trade nexus, so to speak. So a great stroke of luck for you. Nice. Excellent. So Ivan, you've seen Pone and Jim coming and his headphones are off. Ivan sees Jim and Pone coming and going. He sees Crocular return with no art at the end of day 2, and apparently a good bit of money. And all of you find yourselves gathering together around the ship, getting close to dinner time. And I was just saying, all of you find yourselves around nearby the ship, getting close to dinner time. And you see Pone and Crocular and Jim and Veda and Inion down at the foot of the area. There's an open area just outside of the shipyard. And Ivan, you can see all of them talking to each other. Pone declares that he has an opportunity to fight this evening. Ivan, do you join everybody when you see them all gathering together?
Yeah, I'll come down.
Okay. I think Veda probably waves at you and beckons you to come down. Veda doesn't like the fact that you're up there. And in fact, if you kind of shake your head and turn away, a moment later, Veda pops her head up there and goes, Ivan, get down here. When are we going to have the opportunity to do this ever again? Come on. Your friends need you. And so she beckons you to come down.
I'll come down.
All right. So all of you gather together, and Pone declares that he has managed to rustle up a bit of excitement. Pone, do you care to tell everyone else what's about to go down?
Yeah. Let's see. Pone says, so, I guess we should talk about our days now. Why not? I got into a Fight Club thing, and I got this cool loot. I'm really impressed about it. It has this weird, hoping might be interesting. So
Veda's
Yeah.
eyes got really big as soon as you said Fight Club, and she kind of cuts you off and goes, yeah, back to the Fight Club. We've been here for a day, and you're trying to fight people? Am I understanding that correctly?
yeah, but it's like legal, or it's not. But
It's not? You want to
Well,
fight
like-
people?
legality is just like the soul of boredom, though. You know?
Hey, now, don't they have
So you
any
gotta,
legal
like-
fighting clubs here? You gotta. Those illegal ones are super dangerous.
Yeah. For them.
Enion pickpockets you, and you see that Enion is holding that piece of paper, stamp on it, and says, I don't know, looks pretty legal to me, and he holds it up. Sounds like you're just trying to sell this as a bit smarmier than it is. And he hands the ticket over to Veda, and Veda reads it and scowls and sticks it back in your direction. Just because it's legal doesn't mean I like this. You better be careful.
All right.
Well,
If any of
where
you wanna
is this?
come,
I want to
then-
come watch you. You think I'm going to let you go get your face beaten in without me at least being there to watch?
Yes.
Wrong.
Oh, my mistake. I'll tell them where it is. I forgot. But
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
Crocular is going to quiz Poen about everything he knows about the magical wards that may prevent cheating.
Well, there are some truth people or something, truth tellers of some sort, that are watching over the thing. I was allowed to keep these, he says, displaying the gauntlets. So, like, they might be able to, they must know about how magic items work, something like that. There's probably multiple. Makes
Okay,
sense.
what I'm going to do is I am going to Crocular like reaches into his garment and pulls out, and you see that he's got a like a talisman that he's been wearing around his neck, and he lifts it out. And this is the Pact of the Talisman of the Curator. And he says, try and hide this somewhere on you.
I don't think that's legal. So, and cheating results in instant death for all participants. So,
I don't know if this counts as magic.
is it
So-
magical?
This is for the DM to decide, I guess. It's probably magical, but it's a pact boon. My otherworldly patron bestows a gift upon me for my loyal service. It's Pact of the Talisman. When the wearer of your talisman fails an ability check, that can add a D4 to the roll, potentially turning the roll into a success. The benefit can be used 2 times, and all expended uses are restored when you finish a long rest. Somebody else can wear it. There's no reason why he can't wear it. If it gets lost, I can like vanish it and restore it in like an hour or something.
Make
And,
me
It's not a spell.
right. It's not a spell. It's a pact effect. Make me a religion and an arcana check.
Me?
Yep.
Pone.
Should I
How do
also
you
make
hit?
one?
18 and 15. Religion
Yeah.
is 18, Arcana is 15.
Sorry for cutting you off, Ivan, by the way.
You're fine. I'm answering for Ivan. So you and Enion both kind of look at each other at the same moment, and you both go, "He could eat it." And you both say that word for word to each other at the same time.
That is definitely something I would say. Or
Does
Cone
eating
would.
count as wearing?
That's what you came up with.
I mean, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to attune to it.
Nope.
It doesn't care. It doesn't matter who's attuned to it. It's just the wearer of your talisman.
And it
Sure,
is just
yeah.
It's a weird
Swallow
little
this.
On the
crystal.
inside.
It's a weird little crystal, so he can just pop it off the strap. And
Swallow this.
Okay.
Give it back
If anyone
to me when
asks,
you're done.
I swallowed this gnarly looking rock for a bet.
Right, so it has 2 uses before I have to get a long rest. And if you
Just take a
fail
nap
an
during the
ability
fight.
check, you can add a D4 to it.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Pone.
Were you gonna ask something, Evan?
So the danger isn't you losing, it's you winning a fight you're not supposed to win. How do you handle being poisoned or being surrounded by 10 men afterwards?
It's funny. Like, I'll figure. Been in that situation before. I don't remember how it turned out though. I don't know.
You know what?
Luckily, hopefully, something will happen and I'll get through. That's how I usually do it.
That's a good point, Ivan. Maybe we should all go.
All right. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so
We'll be his
Pone-
entourage.
Yeah, so Pone, you realize you're actually due there right about now. So you guys start wandering your way over there, and as you get closer, you see that there is a large building that's kind of rectangular, kind of boxy. One face of the building is missing, and it's just out into the open air, and it leads down to this bowl-shaped area with a circular kind of stadium seating of bleachers around a sand pit down in the bottom. And Pone, you show up and you see the same swarthy looking guy. You hold up your ticket and he kind of indicates over to a space for you and your boys, your entourage to sit. There's actually a little roped off front row bench. So you guys all have front
Does
row
he let
seats.
me in with my axe?
Yeah. You see that people are wearing their swords. They have their, magical staves and weapons and everything. Everyone's just sitting there armed, but none of the contestants who are fighting seem to have like swords or pikes or wands or anything. But you do see a number of people with things like cloth wraps with like nails and broken glass and large, like one guy looks to be kind of have a druidic flavor, and you see that he's got big thorns sticking off of his hands. And you guys see over
How
around.
seedy does it look?
It didn't attract the kind of crowd that went to Sunday school every week. Let's just say that. These are there's some hard, swarthy, unsavory looking types, but there also look to be a lot of just wealthy people who really want to see two guys beat each other nearly to death consensually for money. And the other big thing is you see betting. Lots and lots of betting. There's some sort of turtle who looks like he's got all these numbers all over his back. And it takes a little bit of figuring out, but you can tell that these are like odds. And you can see that there are 3-to-1 odds for Snullrack to absolutely cream Pone in one of the last fights of the night. So you see 2 halflings get out there with just simple bare knuckles, and they are fast. Man, their little hands are flying back and forth. It's like the difference between watching 2 expert 120-pound Muay Thai fighters with incredible speed, but they're trading a lot of jabs versus a couple of heavyweights. So some of the smaller bantamweight folks, the fights take a little while. But then eventually you start working your way up. And eventually you guys see. And does anybody want to do any betting on any of these events? Is anybody drawing from their purse and putting it online?
I'll put a couple of gold on Poen.
Okay. How much is a couple?
2.
Two. You see that there is a 10 gold minimum bet for
Boo,
purses
10
of
men.
this side. Fine. Yes. All right. So Jim is putting 10.
What are the odds?
It's 3 to 1.
3 to 1.
That he's gonna lose.
What?
Crocular.
We don't have any money, right? We didn't
I mean, I've
go.
got 10.
Like Brick didn't.
No, but the captain gave each of you 50 gold for walking around money.
Oh, did he?
We had a little bit from the
I had my
from the
starting
library.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah,
I
and each
had like
yeah.
13 gold left.
Wait, so
So-
the captain gave me 50 gold?
Yep.
Oh,
Everybody's
okay,
got
so I
50
didn't
gold from the
have that
captain.
in my thing. Okay,
I'm
so-
gonna add that. I'm extremely wealthy right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I think
flushed with cash.
I'll
I'll put my 50 on Pone.
Okay.
I'm still just doing 10.
A lot of pressure. Oh, well.
Excellent. Enion steps up and says, I'd like to put 1,000 gold on Pone, please.
What?
Like to do a actual KO. Will you give me 10 to 1 for that? And you see the turtle shakes his head and says, but I will give you 6. And so Enion says, okay. So Enion has bet 1,000 gold pieces for a KO with 6 to 1 odds.
Wait, does he have to put the money down up front?
Apparently, he whispers something to the turtle and points up at the dancing narwhal, and the turtle holds out a piece of red string, and Enion sticks his hand out, and you see the turtle drape that around his wrist, and you see some flames and smoke come up from that. And it's stuck to his wrist, and it kind of sinks into his skin. And now there's just this kind of faint red glow around Enion's wrist. And anybody who makes a DC 10 religion check can see the signs of someone who has accepted a infernal oath, someone who has basically invoked an oath by the authority and consequences of the plane of law. So it's not evil, it's not hellish, but it is, a very, very dire, serious matter. Mm-hmm. So since Enion didn't have collateral for that 1,000 gold, he basically explained a plausible way that he was going to have the money, and then the turtle basically did this to make a guarantee that he would be able to collect from him.
Let's hope he didn't bet the entire ship.
Well, he only bet 1,000 gold.
Yeah.
Anyway,
before my match starts, I'd like to go over to the ringleader officiant and like sort of whisper, "Hey, is this like mano a mano kill, or are we just supposed to knock out?"
You see the ringleader, who is a. At first, you think it's a dude, but then you tap him on the shoulder, and they turn around. You realize it's just a very, very fit woman with broad shoulders and kind of short, kind of platinum blonde hair with high cheekbones and slightly elven-looking ears. But you figure she's some sort of half elf. She's about 6 feet tall, and she's wearing a kind of tight-fitting overcoat with kind of half tails going most of the way down the back of her legs, and leather boots. And she seems to be some sort of MC. And she gives you kind of this wide-eyed look like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy's asking me this question. And she kind of leans in and says, You have a ticket to fight tonight?
Yeah.
Do you produce it? She kind of holds
Yes,
a
I
hand
do.
out. Yeah. She takes it out. Oh my gosh. You're fighting Snowrack. You don't even know. She laughs and hands the ticket back to you and says, honey, once you set foot in that ring, you two can do whatever you want to each other. So if you want Snarlrack to only non-lethally finish you off, I highly suggest you make nice with him and don't give him a reason to splat your brains. Now, after the fight's been called, if he kills you when you weren't already dead, he will owe your surviving second a death fee, which will be considerable. So if you have some sort of terminal illness and you really want to leave some money for your family, getting Snarlrat good and mad at you might actually be a good idea. And she kind of pats you on the cheek and pinches it.
So if someone does kill someone, they'd have to pay a fee.
Oh, if Snarlrat were to punch or strike you after the fight has been called, yes. But if he just
but during the
kills
fight,
you, if he kills you before the end of the fight, he just won.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna head back to my table, and I head back to my table.
I don't know if that boy's crazy or brave, you hear her say out loud as you're walking away.
Thanks. And then he...
Ivan, are you saying
yep.
something? If so, you're muted.
Bone.
Yep.
You want me to put any of your money on you?
I already have my stake in this, so
all right,
do what you want. It's your money.
Veda doesn't put any money on it. She says that she can't stand the idea of betting on your life. And so a few more fights go down, and then eventually it's your time. You see that this large orc, not a half orc, but a full-blooded orc, he kind of stands up from the seat, and he's about 7 feet tall, maybe just under, maybe about 6'10". And he reaches down behind where he was sitting, and he sticks his hands into something, and he pulls them out. And you see, have you ever seen The Man with the Iron Fists with Ludacris, I believe? His
No.
From about halfway down his forearm down are these oversized metal wrapped fists that he has around his hands. And you realize if he were to punch you with one of these things, you would feel it. Your grandchildren might feel it if you survive to have them. Your great-grandchildren might wake up out of a cold sweat with the nightmare of being punched. This guy looks terrifying. Make me a performance check or a deception check to try to either keep your cool or put on a show to try to win the crowd over with either your composure or your bravado.
I'll do performance. 10.
10. You walk out absolutely flat. Uh-oh, Matt, I can't hear anything you're saying.
If he fails, he can roll a d4 and add it to that if he wants. I don't know if that counts as if it's a failure.
I'm good.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Flat is the emotion I was going for. So
yeah. So it actually kind of works for you in a way, because you see that some people begin laughing and others are a bit bewildered that this practically shrimpy looking man compared to Snarlrack would be stepping out into the ring against him. And you see a number of young women begin to sob and cry and say, "No, he'll kill him! He'll kill him!" And so you've actually already got a couple of fans just because you're kind of the quiet underdog energy, because of the quiet underdog energy that you're bringing. The half-elven woman who you saw earlier, steps out into the ring and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, fresh contending meat for the pit. We have, hailing from far away with the blood of hellfire, Pone the Furious Fisted." And she kind of chuckles a little bit. And you see that she's using thaumaturgy to boom her voice up a little bit. And there's a smattering of applause. And of course, you guys, Crocular, Jim, Ivan, Enion, and Veda, make me a performance check or just a flat charisma check to see how much you can kind of hype your guy and how much crowd energy you can contribute.
Ooh, natural 20.
Ooh.
13.
25 total.
Yeah. You see Jim grab his shirt, rip it open, and just do this rebel yell. And everybody, it just something primal about it seems to kind of go as a ripple through the crowd. And you hear a bunch of other people do this.
Bolts in the air.
Say what?
Shoot a couple of fire bolts in the air.
Yeah, Jim kind of fires a couple of fire bolts. And you see a couple of other people with the ability to cast cantrips also fire off a couple of cantrips, and you hear this rebel yell, which actually has a little bit of oomph. And you can see Snarlack on the other side, his eyes narrow. And she turns and says, "Hailing from here as the resident heavyweight champion of the pit, the Thunder Fists, the one who has pounded more men into the ground than grave diggers a mile in each direction, the mighty Snarlack." And you see him boom, boom, boom 3 times. He punches his fists together, and each time sparks fly from the intensity of the metal hitting together, and it actually kind of hurts your ears because of how loud that bang clanging noise is, and the crowd goes wild. It's thunderous applause. Roll for initiative.
All right. 14.
14. Excellent. You see... Yeah, you dart off the line instantly. You can see you're reading Snarlack, and you can see that he's flat-footed, smug, pleased with himself, and he's giving you this incredible glare. And you know that he thinks that this glare is going to strike fear in you and make you start this fight off cautiously. But you have the drop on him. You begin to go first. What do you do?
All right. Firstly, obviously, I'm going to punch him. So I'm going to, just give me a second. I can punch him. Then I get a bonus action to punch him again. I can punch him more, but I think I want to do a different thing.
All right. So as the idea, I want to punch him comes to mind, I want you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
All right. 10.
10. Okay. These knuckles begin to kind of buzz and hum a little bit with a sort of, it's almost barely imperceptible. It's like a low, you can hear a low hum and a couple of harmonics to it. And they're kind of moving around a little bit erratically in your hands. And you realize you don't exactly know what these things do. And not to pause the action just before it starts, but tell me, do you have any idea what these things do, Bone?
I know the listeners couldn't see that, but I assume that they punch things.
Yes,
Very
indeed
hard.
they do. They do help punch. All right, go for it. Take your turn. What do you do?
Okay, so there's a feature here, but I have no idea where. But I don't exactly know where it is. Cobalt Soul. Is it? No, that's not it. There's a thing here that lets me. I've used it before. It lets me analyze a creature and see what their weaknesses and stuff such
Yes,
are.
very good.
Yeah.
This is something that allows you to read your opponent.
Where is it?
I should actually probably go ahead and pull up your character sheet.
It's probably under features and traits.
I will look there. Martial arts, not there. Flurry key, step for the wind, no. Deflect miss. Oh, I see it. Oh, it's just automatic. When you hit a creature with an attack granted by your flurry of blows, you can analyze it, learning all of its damage resistances, damage vulnerabilities, damage immunities, conditioned immunities, and that lasts for a short or long rest until I finish a short or long rest.
Okay. But you have to hit him first, right?
Yes. I will. So I'm going to hit him twice, once with an action, once with a bonus action.
Okay.
Wow. 10 and 19.
The 19 hits.
All right. So I'm thinking I run up to him and throw one punch forward, dodges it or something, maybe blocks it with his fist, and then I just sucker punch him underneath his other fist with the other one.
Very good.
And then before my turn, I will use my... Where is it? I'm going to use a key... I'm going to use a key point to make 2 more... Wait. Never mind. I cannot use a key point to make a bonus action attack.
Why not?
And I used... Because I used one bonus action making an attack, and I guess I could technically just use a bonus action, use a key point to just make another unarmed attack.
Yeah. If you want to use your key point, you can make that other attack, yeah.
All right. I will. 24.
That hits. And how?
How indeed. So I hit twice for 6 and 10 damage total.
Okay. So you punch this guy twice and manage to crack him in the ribs pretty hard and punch him across the jaw with that last hit, and you ring his bell, man. And he kind of spits some blood and looks back at you, and you see him. You're right there in front of him, and he just
actually
swings at you twice with these big, heavy hands, and you get a sense of how much weight is flying past you, and it is terrifying. He rolls a 17 to hit with the first one and a 1 with the second. Does a 17 hit you?
I can use my reaction to try and where it is.
Okay.
Defense, new, deflect missiles, also not. Darn, it's probably in features and traits again. Actually, maybe a feat. Yes.
Pact of the Talisman only works for ability checks.
Fair
That's
enough.
Good to know. When I'm proficient with a finesse weapon, which you're proficient with, and another creature hits you with a melee attack, you can use a reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your AC. So my AC is 15, still not enough. I'll do it anyways because it doesn't cost anything. So just maybe one attack misses, and then I sort of try and catch it, but it still hits me.
Gotcha. I see. Yeah. It just costs your reaction, I take it. So yeah. He punches you for... Let me roll this real quick. Sorry. He punches you for 9 damage.
Ow.
And then he swings at you and misses so badly that he opens up an opportunity attack. Seeing as how that reaction thing didn't mean anything, I'm going to give you a bit of a hand wave because this is just cinematically too cool. But he clocks you and does as much damage to you in one punch as you did in the previous round. But then his next hand just swings at your head, but it's so slow that you're able to just drop your weight and then uppercut him. So make me an opportunity attack on him.
Do I still have to roll to hit, or is it just automatic?
You have to roll to
forgot
hit,
how.
yes.
Okay. Still 21.
Hits. Roll your damage.
Excellent. 5 damage.
Okay. Excellent. It is your turn.
All right.
You come back up underneath his jaw. So you've clocked him on the left cheek, and now you've come up underneath. And when you punch him in the jaw, I mean, it feels like punching a cow in the head or something. I mean, his head is just so thick and heavy.
Yeah. I'm going to make 3 more punchity punches.
Okay. So
The lowest is 23.
They all hit. So you punch, and then you spend a key point to do a flurry of blows.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so
because
in rapid
hit,
fire,
yeah. Because those hit, I can see his damage resistances, immunities, and vulnerabilities, as well as just condition immunities. I doubt he has any because he's just an orc, but who knows?
He's a big guy, and he's a heavy, but you realize if you could ever get him prone, get him on the ground, it would actually be a little bit difficult for him to fight, or at least it would slow him down, you know. So getting him on the ground would tactically be helpful.
Oh. So, I'm going to. Am I like? He's like arched over me from that one swing, right?
Yeah. So you just uppercut him as an opportunity attack, and you kind of pull back, pose yourself, and then in rapid succession, you just go through a full kata perfectly, and you hit him in 3 of his chakra points. How much damage do you do with those 3 attacks?
Oh yeah, I forgot to roll that. Um, 16 damage total.
Okay. Very good. You see that he kind of pulls back his hand and puts all of his weight into a single punch. He is just desperate to clean your clock. And he rolls an 11. You see him whiff, and as that glove goes by your head, you feel you realize he's got some juice in those gloves. Those aren't just big metal gloves that he's fighting with. There's some oomph behind there, and you realize if he had punched you with that, he may well have like killed you. Like he basically did a power attack. Pone, you just hit this guy with all 3 strikes from your knuckles that you're wearing. Make me another wisdom saving throw.
Okay. 3.
3.
That's
you're in
2 plus 1, by the way.
You're in the heat of the moment. So in retrospect, looking back on the fight, you realize that something had happened there in that moment. But right now, you're in the thick of it. It is your turn.
All right. I'm going to hit him again with 3 attacks. 3 paunches. 19, 23,
Hits.
and then natural 1, but it's because of my
Okay.
bonus. So
Let's resolve those first 2 hits.
okay. Can do. 11 damage total.
You do this 11 damage, and then he goes down, and you go to try to punch at him, but he's just gone down. And the moment he hits his knee, you see him steady himself, like he begins to teeter over, and then he just steadies himself and gets back up, and he wraps his arms around you, and you see him leap off of his feet with his weight over you, and he tries to crush you. Make me a dexterity saving throw.
18.
18. You roll out to the side, and you manage to get yourself out underneath from him, which is good because you only take 2 damage, and you realize that could have gone very, very differently. Like, you imagine his full weight being on you, and you imagine that would have shattered some of your ribs. So this guy is here in your face. He is hugging you, but you still have use of your arms. He hasn't fully restrained you because you succeeded on your dexterity saving throw. What do you do?
So am I still?
You're in a grapple with him. He's got his arms around you. If you want to try to get out of the grapple, you can, but you can also just attack from within the grapple.
I will attack from within the grapple. So,
for flavor's sake, as a monk, I'll allow you to headbutt.
Nice. I will do that.
And you have horns, right?
Yeah. You have horns.
I'd
You have cursed
my
horns.
It's been a while, right? My horns, they were like shaved down at the beginning. I'd say they like grown a little bit, sharpened maybe. Not sharpened, but like they're at least grown bigger.
In the weeks since you've left, you do have enough nubs here that you could headbutt him with the nubs. You know,
nice.
Nobody wants to get hit with a hammer. Is it a spike?
Yeah.
No, but it's still a hammer. So yeah, you can headbutt him with the, basically the bulbous nubs of your horns.
Wow,
Roll me an attack. What?
And tieflings have sharp teeth and tails.
I totally forgot that I had a tail. That's
Can
cool.
you make a tail attack?
Can I make a tail attack?
You can.
Does it say in there if it's a natural weapon?
There's no thing that says, "Oh, tail attack," but the description for unarmed strike is just using one of your body parts to deal damage. So
tail attack, dude. Yeah.
I'll allow it. I'll allow a tail punch.
Okay. I got a 15, an 18, and a 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
All 3 of those attacks hit. So he's got
Nice.
your arms pinned down, and you see your tail come up and just in rapid succession. It pop, 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 slaps him in the face, and you see blood trailing down his face, and you see his eyes roll in the back of his head. His arms flop open, and he is out. You have fully taken this guy out. And
Am I still in
you
grapple?
see, no, you're not in the grapple. His
Okay.
arms fall to the side, and you see the half-elven lady in the coat and the boots, just amazed, leap down into the pit, and she kind of does a motion with her arms and calls the fight and gets you up on your feet, Pone, grabs you by the fist, holds it up in the air, and you see Enion jumping up and down, screaming with glee and delight. He's like, "Whoa! This is the greatest thing of my life! Whoa!" and you see there's a whole little crowd of people around Inion patting him on the back, congratulating him. And you see Veda she's just a nervous wreck. She's got her head in her hands as she comes over to you, Pone, throws her arms around you, gives you a big bear hug. Does anybody else do anything?
Ivan
I'm
has
glad I
stepped.
won then because I was flat out of key points. Like I had no plan after that. Oh,
Good to win with an empty tank. Ivan.
Nice. Ivan has stepped back to like the edge of the room, and he's surveying and looking for the trouble that's about to come.
Ivan, make me a perception check with advantage.
"21.
You see
Nice.
a half orc and a furl blog that have murder in their eyes. They are furious that Pone has not just beaten but humiliated Snarlrog. And you figure these guys are probably his groupies or cronies or training partners or something like that. But you can see how mad they are. Now, you yourself are a big dude. So you realize you've got a choice here. You can either take this information and store it away, or you can try to head this thing off at the pass and just basically try to confront these guys and nip it in the bud before they get a chance to do anything. It's up to you.
How many are there? 3?
There's 2. There's a half orc and a furl blog.
Furl blog. What does that look like?
They're
You mean
kind
a fear
of
bulg?
Fearbolg. Sorry, Fearbolg. They are normally nature-loving, peaceful kind of folks, but when stirred up into a frenzy, they are quite fearsome. They're a little bit nature-y. They've got a little bit of troll flavor to them, but they're really just big, beefy humanoids that live out in nature.
They're Fey-oriented half-giants.
Yeah, that's right. It's giant. They have
Or
giant
something.
lineage.
They have
Okay.
giant canon lineage.
They have giant lineage, not troll. I apologize. Yeah.
Jim, we need to
I
stop
think
that.
trolls are giant. I think trolls are giants.
They're in
Sorry,
the
go on,
giant
Ivan.
ilk. Yeah. So Ivan says to Jim,
Jim, look at them. He points over to them.
Jim,
Oh,
you
that's
see
trouble.
a half orc and a furblog. Fearbolg?
Fearbolt?
Fearbolg.
Fearbolg.
Fearbolt.
You see a half orc and a fearbolg staring daggers at Pone, and you can tell they're not just mad at him. You can tell they're contemplating when and how they're going to beat his face in.
Well, that's trouble. You think we
It's
should
just
talk to
2.
him or just come up behind him when they start something?
Let's talk to him. That'll flush out all the rest of them. Crocular, keep an eye out for who else is watching us when we do this.
Veda and Crocular both kind of take a position next to Pone, and you realize Pone is safe where he is. There's no way they're going to rush him in the middle of the pit with the pit master right next to him and everything. And so Veda and Pone kind of place themselves at the edges of the pit and kind of keep an eye. And Ivan and Jim, you guys start to make your way over to where these guys are. You kind of come around to the side, and suddenly you find yourselves, you come around a corner, and there they are. You can see that they're just standing there staring and looming out over the edge of the seating, and you're behind them.
Tough fight, but that's the business, huh?
The half-orc kind of spins around and says, "That shouldn't have been a tough fight. My brother is the toughest fighter here. There's no way your little friend beat him legitimately. He must have been cheating." And you see the furball go, "Yeah, cheating."
I don't want to hear that kind of talk from you. This is
I can talk however I want, says the
You
furball.
start accusing people of cheating, and then there's going to be all kind of trouble, and maybe they'll start looking at you for cheating.
You see the
How do you think
Furbolg.
your brothers won so many fights?
You see the Furbolg when you say people are going to accuse you of cheating. The Furbolg gets a little bit scared for just an instant, and then he like shakes it off and gets mad again. And you say what?
How do you think your brothers won so many fights?
Because he's the biggest and the toughest and the bestest fighter out here. There's nobody tougher and bigger than my brother.
There's nobody bigger, but there may be some people tougher, as we have just seen. You guys need to back up.
Maybe you want to say that to my face.
I just
and
did.
Oh, I thought you were talking to my belly button because you're so short. And then this, like a full second later, the Furball goes.
Oh, that was a good one. Here's a couple of gold pieces. Why don't you guys have a drink with the winnings that I just made?
Make me a persuasion check.
With help.
All right. With help?
Yeah, I'll help you.
Ivan, how are you helping persuade these guys to cool off as opposed to intimidation or bribery or whatever?
You want to be having a drink right now. That's your best night. He's intimidatingly helping the person, like playing bad cop to his good cop.
Good cop, bad cop.
Okay, you make Ivan make me an intimidation check. Jim, make me a persuasion check.
All right,
I'm not
gonna go
super
with
good at
26.
intimidation. Okay. And 16.
Yeah, Jim, what did you make?
26.
26. The moment you place the gold, like Jim, you hold up the coin and you flip it, and then you take a couple more and you kind of start doing this little trick where you're like kind of tossing multiple coins up at the same time, and your hand is like moving around to catch all of them, and you literally just use the shinies. And Ivan, you kind of half-heartedly make that, yeah, taking that drink is your best option, because you can see they're already like their tiny little brains have latched onto the shinies, and Jim, by the time you put the money in their hands, they're already beginning to walk off. You play these guys like fiddles, so congratulations. Jim and Ivan make their way, very satisfied that it doesn't look like there was anybody else in Snarlrog's entourage. And by this point, you see Snarlrog is...
Ivan said,
go ahead.
Just real quick. Ivan says, thanks. I don't know how you're so good at that stuff, but thanks.
I have a lot of experience with people at the sanitarium, just calming down the situation.
That's true. That's true. This is a Tuesday for Jim. So you see that there is a druid who has kneeled over Snarlrog, who puts a goodberry in his mouth and kind of works his jaw around and kind of moves over to the side and works what's left of his jaw around, because you can see that there's actually a dent in his jaw where his jaw is broken. But you see Snarlrog's eyes kind of flutter open, and you just hear this deep, almighty, if you've ever been next to a cow, when it huffs, it's about that much air coming out of his lungs. And you see him kind of, boom, thud one of his big metal fists into the ground and kind of pushes himself up onto one knee, kind of leans back and kind of staggers up onto his feet. And he kind of pulls, you see him do something, and these two big iron gauntlets fall off of his hands. And he takes a step over towards you, Pone, and he kind of blows this huge wad of snot and blood out of his nose, and he flings this huge phlegmy wad of blood and spit onto the sand and kind of twists his neck, and he yanks on his arm, and you see that his broken collarbone resets, and he says, "You are one tough little man. It was refreshing being surprised, but don't count on it if you see me in the ring again. Next time, I will beat you into a jelly and spread you over my toast. But good fight. But good fight. And he sticks out his hand to you to shake.
Poen. So I wanted to add this context earlier, but Poen had just been like, after the bell rang and everything's done, he'd just been kind of like sort of shell shock traumatized by the whole event. And now at this time, he just sort of looks at his hand and says, "You could have died," and sort of turns away and starts mumbling and heads out the door.
Weird little man. Weird little man. All right, somebody needs to reset these bones, and I need about 200 gold worth of healing potions. And you see him kind of lumbering off out the side exit. Congratulations, gentlemen. You've solved my day in town puzzle. Tomorrow, when we come back, we will open up on the beginning of day 3. Crocular will have sold all of his stuff. You guys will have some winnings from the gambling on the fight. Jared, be sure to add 150 gold to your inventory. Jim, you've got 30, and Inion has 6,000 gold.
Nice.
So if you guys want to use Inion as a Mr. Moneybags, he's got 6,000 gold. I can hear it now. Dwight's going to say that he's going to leave all the time if this is how his character gets rewarded. So you actually knocked this guy out, and you did it with such panache and such style that you get the 400 gold kitty from the official fight. But there are a number of wealthy patrons that and start handing you bags of gold or little ivory inlaid boxes. Some of them hand you a little scroll that seems to be an invitation. And you realize that you've got an extra 700 gold worth of money because of the performance that you put on. And you've got a couple of expensive daggers in a little inlaid box that you'd be able to sell for 100 gold. And you've got invitations to go eat and drink with whoever you want. Not whoever you want, but a number of people over the next day while you're in town. So you won't be paying for drinks or food probably anywhere you go for the rest of the trip.
Bold of you to assume I need nourishment.
Nice.
You're not a level 18 monk with the ascetic vow yet, so slow your roll.
I forgot that was the thing.
Oh, yeah. Slow your roll. Very good.
Beer does sound nice, though. So
everybody's got your money, and the paintings, the druids. Yes, you're good. Oh, and by the way, you guys see Graham and his bosun and BS were in the stands, and they are all holding up bags of gold, and they're like, "We won off of you! Nice. Thanks!" And they're giving you big thumbs up. So you see that other people in the crew bet on you to win. You do see one kind of swarthy, sad, sour-looking guy from the crew, and you can tell he's sour because it looks like he bet against you and he lost. So, very good.
Colin generally ignores them and just starts heading back to the shed.
Excellent. Well, everybody's a little bit richer and nobody died, so congratulations on your day around town. When next we meet, we'll open up with day 3 at the Woad Wall. I believe that's what it's called. Until then, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Starfall Collective Jade Odyssey.